This is my Himiway Cruiser, and today I have tips and tricks for new owners. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about today is how to transport your Himiway Cruiser on your car or your truck. The most important thing is to keep it dry. The bike is waterproof. When you're riding it, you can splash through puddles or some mud, or if you get caught in some light rain, but you cannot drive with this hanging on the back of your car at 70 miles an hour down the road in a rainstorm and expect the bike to work when you get there. So I think the most important thing is to keep it dry when you transport it. And I do that with this soft topper on the back of my truck. I know we all have different types of vehicles and everything, but I thought I would show you how I transport it. This method might also work if you have a large SUV that the back seat folds down. So once I remove the front tire on my Himiway and I put the seat down all the way, I can stand it up back here. The only problem I have is that the fork digs into the bed of the truck. So that's when I went out and bought this. I attached it to a piece of wood here. But this is a 135 millimeter front fork mount that I have screwed down to this piece of wood. And again, that's 135 millimeter. It fits the Rad Rover or the Himiway Cruiser. But just like everything else that has to do with fat e-bikes, these are in short supply now. I first bought this over a year ago for my Rad Rover, and now when I go back and check on Amazon, I can hardly find any of them. And they're all out of stock. And I've looked around, and I will put in my description where I found that you can still get these. And I will keep that updated in there. But this is really handy. Let me show you how this works. So here is the bike with the front tire off and mounted to the front fork mount on the wood. And I have this wood long enough in the front so that it hits the front of my bed before the fender hits the front of the bed. That's pretty important if you have a fender. Then I take two pieces of small rope and I tie off the handlebar so this doesn't move. Because once I put that in and slide it, I don't want this turning when I'm sliding it in. And it's real easy to put it in. It's real easy to lift. All you have to do is put the back brake on, and then you set this onto the gate and just slide it in. It's real easy. Then I use 4 bungee cords, and I'm all set. Next, I'm going to talk about flat tires. This is my third e-bike, and I put about 8,000 miles on my e-bikes in the last 2 years. And I used to get flats at least once every 200 miles, if not more often than that. A lot of them were slow leaks. I ride out here in the woods, and a lot of them are thorns. But I do occasionally get small pieces of wire. I think they're when people run bald and the steel radials wear and little pieces of metal fly off. I get little slow leakers like that. And then occasionally you get a nail or a large screw. And there's nothing you can do about a nail or a large screw. I don't care what you do to your tires. You're going to get a flat if you run over a big nail or a screw. But when I was getting so many flat tires, first thing I decided to try was slime. And I'm sure you've heard of this. And this will help with slow leakers. But when they become more than a slow leak, they become oozers. And then they ooze out when you are changing your tire. You have to change a tire. Now you have all this slime that you have to clean up. And if you're going to patch the tube, it's hard to squish all the slime out of the way and get the tube to fit on there without getting any slime underneath there. And you might go through the whole process of repairing your tube, and then you put it all back together and you still have a slow leak. So slime kind of works, and it's your cheapest thing to try first, but I ended up not liking it. The next thing I tried are these inserts. These are Tuffy liners, and these also work okay. They're better than nothing, but you can see there's a hole right there. If you hit a something big, you're still going to put a hole in it. The problem with Tuffy liners is when you do get a flat, they're a pain in the butt to reinsert every single time you get a flat. You got to repair it, and I got to try and stuff this in there around every single time. It doesn't stay put, and I end up just replacing the tube in the field, and I don't put this back on, and then when I get home I have to take the tire back off and put this back on. It's a big hassle. So these were about $45 a set, and they kind of work if you don't mind the hassle. This right here is called Tannis Armor, and you probably heard of it. It's a foam liner that lines the entirety of your tire, and it works fantastic. I have been running this for 3,000 miles on my Rad Rover, and I've only had one flat in 3,000 miles, and that flat was a big nail. So I highly recommend this if you can afford it. $144 is a lot of money, but if you ride all the time like I do, it's worth it. And they do not sell this on Amazon. You can get it from tannisusa.com, and Rad Power Bikes is also selling it. You may find that it's out of stock because they're selling so many bikes and everybody's complaining about their flat tires, and this stuff is coming highly recommended. While on the subject of tubes and tires, this is an electric air pump. This is one of the best accessories I've gotten for the bike. It's real handy. You can dial in your exact air pressure to within a half of a pound, and you're not overfilling your tires. With the Tannis Armor, you don't want to overfill your tire pressure because you're squishing the foam thinner and thinner. I just dial this into exactly 10 pounds, I fill it up, and I have a great ride. This is another one of my gizmos I made. It's just some scrap wood. These are 2x4s with a groove cut in them here that fits over the hand grips. And when I flip my bike over to work on it, I use this, and it protects my components here from getting scratched. Let me show you how this works. So I've taken the battery out so it's a little bit lighter. But I just grab it here and about here and flip it over, line up the first hand grip, and then drop it down on the second one. And then you're all set to work on your bike. Works pretty good. The Himiway Cruiser does not come with a water bottle mount. This is one I got on Amazon. When I bought this, they only sold one that fit on the Rad Rover, so I had to cut it down the middle to get it to fit. But they now sell one that fits the Himiway. But you can buy the Rad Rover or the Himiway one, cut them in half, and split it with somebody. You don't have to have two water bottle mounts. And on this side I have a bottle opener. The Himiway Cruiser comes with a really nice multi-tool, but you also need an 18mm open end wrench to take the tire off if you get a flat or to do any kind of service. You also need a small wire cutters to be able to cut the tie wrap from the cable. And also carry a few tie wraps with you and replace it when you cut that off. You can also recycle your tie wraps when you get your Himiway. It comes all tie wrapped together. If you're careful on how you cut them off, you can reuse your tie wraps and recycle them. This is an accessory bar right here. And if you're planning on mounting more than one or two things to your handlebars, you're going to need this right here. The handlebars go from skinny to fat, and they're hard to mount something on there. If you mount it here, it might slip to the skinny part and then it's flopping around or something. I like the accessory bar. My last tip is, if you're coming out to the reservoir, watch out for alligators after it rains. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you out on the trail.